Buddy, we'll call the planning commission meeting to order. Would you do the roll call, please?
Tom Witherspoon.
Yep.
Nancy Pierce.
Here.
Michael Moore.
Present.
Amy May.
Here.
And I believe Jeff Hintz is coming. Michelle Cook and Fred Brune are excused.
Thank you. Approval of the minutes from the planning commission meeting of April 27th. Can I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of April 27th.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Can you guys hear me okay? All right. All right, item 4, public hearing and possible action on items set for public hearing is A, conditional use review. Review a request for conditional use allowing for the operation of a vehicle sales business with residential quarters located at 6106 Douglas Avenue, submitted by Jeff Holtz, the applicant. Jeff Holtz LLC is the owner. Natalia, you want to bring us up to speed on this, please?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Just had a glitch over here, so I'm gonna. Just a question, did you open the public hearing?
No, I did not. You want me to?
Yes, please.
You sure? So we'll open a public hearing on this item.
All right, thank you, Mr. President. All right, so just for some context about this property at 6106 Douglas Avenue, the property previously operated as a construction company on the first floor, and they also had residential quarters on the second floor. So basically, the applicant is intending to maintain the existing residential quarters on the second floor and operate a vehicle sales business on the first floor. So here, as you can see on the screen, there is the site plan that the applicant provided. So they intend to have between 10 to 15 retail vehicles for sale on site. Outdoor auto repair services will not be offered. Only safety inspections will be performed on the vehicles prior to sale. And per code, the business is required to provide 10 parking spaces, and the 10 parking spaces are provided. So one thing to note is that on the south side of the property, there are 3 parking spaces that were marked on the site plan. These should not be counted as part of the parking spaces provided for the business because they are outside of the property boundaries. Let's see what else. The site plan also proposes an exterior dumpster on the north side of the parcel, but behind this fence line here, as it is shown on this gravel part on the northwest side of the property. So the dumpster will be located within that fenced part of the property, so it does comply with our design guidelines. And no changes are being proposed to existing lighting, landscaping, or building exterior as part of the review. So a few things that are important to note, especially in the conditions and restrictions that were proposed for the applicant, was that on-site automobile repair and service activities are prohibited, and no more than 50% of the existing residential building area shall be used for residential purposes. So only that residential quarters that are on the second floor that are permitted to be used as residential quarters. And the display and parking of vehicles shall be limited to the designated areas approved, if approved by the Plan Commission. And this condition here is just to note that these 3 parking stalls that are proposed on the south side, outside of the property boundaries, they are not to be used for the business since they are outside of the property boundaries. Thank you, Mr. President. That will be all.
Natalia, what business was there before? What business was there before?
It was a construction company.
Construction company.
Yes.
Okay. I thought there was a car sales place there before.
A conditional use was approved by Racine County around the same time that the construction business was approved.
Gotcha.
So what happened was that this, and I don't remember the year now, but this car sales business was approved for a conditional use. And then 3 months later, a conditional use for the construction company was
Gotcha.
approved.
Thank you for clarifying that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so with that, we'll open the hearing open to the public to, for anybody that would like to speak either for or against this project. So at this time, does anyone like to speak in favor of this project? Anybody like to speak in favor of this project? Come on up. Don't be bashful. We don't bite. Name and address, please.
So I'm Jeff Holt, 360 92nd Street, Franksville. I own the property, purchased it 8-9 months ago. Cleaned up a lot of the construction stuff that was left there,
Yeah, it was a lot.
and a lot of garbage and a lot of stuff that shouldn't have been there. Tried to clean up the best I can, fixed up the inside a little bit. And I have Economy Motors to the south of here, which is really small, and would like to make this into that, and then eventually I would get rid of the place that I have right now. Has a little more frontage, a little more exposure,
Okay.
and would work out better. And that's why I'm here.
Thank you, sir. Would you mind signing in?
Oh,
And
sure.
would anybody else like to speak in favor of this project? Seeing none, anybody here that would like to speak against this project? Come on up.
Well, I'd like to know where the cars are gonna be parked. Are they gonna be parked on the
Please
back?
state your
part?
name and address.
Yeah, name and address, please.
I'm Michael Schimendera. I live across the street.
At the mic.
Oops, I'm sorry. I thought you wanted me to write it down. I'm Michael Schimendera. My address is 6105 Douglas. I live across the street.
Mhm.
So being at, where the cars are gonna be located, are they gonna be located up against a retaining wall? Or are they gonna be located closer to the road, which there is not much of an
Well,
easement?
he's shaking his head yes to the retaining wall, no to the road.
They're on the drawing, but they are against the retaining wall and then to the north of the property.
I could see that, and I also see there's a car for sale right now that is about a foot off of the highway that's been there for sale. Just to making sure that, you know, no vehicles get closer to me because somebody could clip that and that could be a danger for anybody in that area. And also, some of the neighbors would like to know the mechanical part of it. They're gonna be working on the cars with garage doors open, they're gonna be working them on the cars out in the parking lot? Or is it gonna be all behind closed doors? As to not seeing a mess or, you know, junk cars and all that kind of stuff.
Natalia, that is one of the conditions, no working on the cars, right?
So one of the conditions for the approval of the conditional use is that no work or repair or any kind of service should be provided on the property.
And then what kind of lighting is gonna go up?
They are not proposing any changes to the existing lighting at this time.
Okay,
And if they do, they would have to go through Plan Commission again with a photometric plan.
okay, that's the concern, is just what we're looking at as far as working on the cars outside and leaving them half together or whatever. And the lighting part of it, because we've had some lighting issues up and down the road before.
Would you?
Yeah, I
sign
will,
off,
that's
please?
what I was coming up with.
Yeah, thank you very much for being here. Anybody else like to speak against this project?
Oh, you did right there. What do you want me to say?
Anybody else? Going once, going twice? Close the public hearing. Open it up to members of the planning commission. Anybody have anything they'd like to add, subtract? Nancy, you got anything?
No, I'm fine with it.
Can we have a motion then?
I'll make a motion to approve the conditional use for the property located at 6106 Douglas Avenue, subject to the conditions outlined in Exhibit A, to be approved for the following reasons. The proposed use is allowed by underlying zoning through the conditional use review process, and the proposed use will not negatively impact neighboring parcels.
Thank you. Can I have a second on that?
I'll second.
By the way, approval tonight means it goes to the village board for final approval. Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item carries. Thank you very much, everybody. New business, master sign plan, Review a master sign plan for industrial building located at 4321 Carroll Road submitted by Justin Sylvia, applicant TI Caledonia LLC owner. Natalia, can you enlighten us, please?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. So as you can see on the screen, the property in which, and I'm sorry that we're having a glitch again. Let's go back. Just a second. All right. So as you can see on the screen, the applicant is proposing a master sign plan for this property here in our industrial park, and the address is 4321 Carroll Road. They are proposing to add 2 signs to the exterior of the building, and the signs can be seen on this image over here. So on that front elevation, on the west building facade, they are proposing a sign that will be the front elevation illuminated set, that it's fronting Carroll Road. And that sign will be 218.75 square feet. And currently the ordinance has a limit of 32 square feet for wall signs, which is why the master sign plan has been submitted. So that sign, given the proportion of the building, occupies approximately 0.2% of the west building facade area. And similarly, the sign that is being proposed on the east building facade area is of a similar area, so 209.69 square feet, also amounting to approximately 0.2% of the east building facade area. So since both signs, they are in proportion with the facades of the building, they are appropriately scaled, staff recommends the approval of the master sign plan as proposed. And the signs that are being proposed can be seen on the screen right now. And this is the sign that it will be facing Carroll Road. And the following sign will be facing the back of the building on the east facade. Thank you.
Thank you, Natalia. Any question by committee members? Nope. Go ahead.
This might be a question for Pete. It could be Natalia. I'll let you guys decide. But what's the rationale?
It's your magnetic person.
Yeah, sorry. What is our rationale behind running this as a master sign plan as opposed to having them do like a variant instead of, or just changing the code to allow a sign that's proportionate to the size of that building? I think it's great, and I'm going to vote yes, but I'm just wondering if there's a code amendment that we should be contemplating so we can avoid seeing these in the future.
Sure, that's a good question. The way the ordinance is written, that, you know, if you cannot, instead of going through a variance process, which goes to the Board of Appeals, where you have to demonstrate a hardship, which is kind of hard. It's like, why can't you follow the rules? Well, my building's big. Well, is that really a hardship?
We'd say no.
So the code was written prior to me starting here in 2019, that allowed for a master sign package to be presented to the Plan Commission and ultimately the Village Board to give that dispensation on size, number, and location. And so that's why we have this master sign plan. We haven't had a master sign plan in recent memory, but we haven't risen to that level yet to actually modify that sign plan. I think when the comp plan is over and we want to go the next step of recodifying our zoning ordinance, we'll probably take a look at our sign ordinance and be like, how can we make this more friendly for especially our industrial sites, that when we have these large industrial buildings, that we're not asking them to put out a postage stamp in the corner of a 32 square foot size sign.
I have a question. Is the sign illuminated?
The west elevation is illuminated, so
Okay.
facing the freeway, it'll have the green. And then on the east elevation, it's just the black lettering. It's a non-illuminated sign facing eastward.
Okay, so nothing is going towards the people across the street.
No, it's on the east and west elevation, nothing on the north.
What's the, what's the makeup on the sign? Is this raised lettering or flat? Can we tell?
I believe these are, the channel lettering
Yeah.
with, except for like the L. So it's going to be, each of them are their own element. The only thing that's would be considered like a internal box sign would be the mechanical element below the two E's. But all the rest would be channel, and you can see that the E's are backlit. So instead of being illuminated toward the front, they're cast a shadow to the back, which is always encouraged by staff because that way you're not,
Glaring light.
yeah, you got it.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm just happy to have Lee Mechanical in Caledonia instead of Kenosha, where they used to be. When I used to use them all the time in Modine, and now they've moved to the greater God country. So thank you for doing that. All right, can I have a motion to approve then, please?
I make a motion. If I can get my thing back up here. Bear with me.
I've got it up. I'll do it and
Okay,
you second
okay.
it?
Go ahead.
Okay. I make a motion, the Planning Commission recommends to the village board that the master sign plan for the total display of the two wall signs for the industrial building located at 4321 Carroll Road be approved for the following reasons. One, the proposed number, height, and size of the signs are permissible through the master sign plan review process. And two, the proposed signs are appropriately scaled to the size of the building and do not result in undue concentration of signage.
Nancy? Say it, Mike.
Second.
There you go. Any discussion on them? Any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Thank you. And that carries, and it will go to the village board at our next meeting. Item 5B, findings and recommendation of resolution number 2026XX, a resolution authorizing the village government to accept the dedication of 90 by 90 square foot area for the public roadway purposes and confirming road reservation for the southerly 45 feet of parcel located at 922 4.5 Mile Road and for the public right of way. Mr. Schmidt, would you like to tell us the history on this 30-year-old mystery?
Yes, sir. Before you is a draft resolution as well as a 30-year-old, essentially a development agreement for the property at 922 4.5 Mile Road. 30 years ago, in order to develop that lot by the Rasmussens, that's listed at that time, they had to extend the public right-of-way and the frontage to develop that lot, as with most other lots we've seen, to have the minimum frontage, which was 90 feet at that time. And so in order to do that, they went through this whole development agreement to extend the road, have temporary turnaround easements, and essentially turn that back over to the village, as well as having a 45-foot road reservation that followed the southern length of their property. That's all included in that 30-year-old packet. The agreement itself was recorded. So essentially, 4.5 Mile Road off of Charles Street terminates and dead ends. So that, you okay over there?
Gonna make
All
it?
right.
Not gonna have another heart attack, are you? No. Okay, good.
So it terminates and it dead ends, but there was 90 feet of road. It was built, it was established. We've been plowing it. Garbage trucks have been servicing it. It's been getting utilized and maintained for 30 years. And most recently, in the last 6 months, I was coordinating with the property owner. He was looking to go through the development of a plat of survey, how to put a fence, going through just the general concern of a resident. And we found out that this recorded agreement was there, but the actual dedication of that 90-foot by 90-foot right-of-way never got done. So now the property owner has this 90 by 90 right-of-way when it really was supposed to be dedicated. So really, it's a 30-year-old cleanup, a little bit of housekeeping, I guess, generally speaking. So there's a lot of legalese in this, so I have a motion that was recommended and written by Elaine that I'll read out. So I can, I guess, for now, I'll ask or answer any questions that anyone may have regarding that.
Anybody have any
No
questions?
questions.
I guess not. Go ahead.
All right.
Get her done.
So the recommended motion was to move to find that the acceptance of the dedication area for the public right-of-way purposes, or for public right-of-way purposes, and the confirming of the road reservation area is not inconsistent with the village's adopted plans and maps, and further recommended the same for approval by the village board.
I will make the motion as just beautifully elucidated by Ryan Schmidt.
Thank you.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. I'm glad none of us were here 30 years ago to do that. Okay, any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you, everybody. Item 5C, Planning Commission positions elections. We need to nominate and elect a plan vice president and a secretary. Secretary doesn't really do anything, but just a figurehead. So do we have nominations or volunteers? What do you guys want to do? I'm sorry, you're out because you're the trustee in charge.
Well, that leaves you three options in the table.
Yeah, well, we can nominate somebody that's
All
not
right,
here.
I will not, can I nominate?
Technically,
All right, I
they need
can't,
to accept the nomination.
I can't be the person, but I can nominate, right?
Yes, you may.
All right, I would like to renominate Jeff Holtz, who was our vice president last year. He did an excellent, outstanding
You
job
accept.
when you weren't here.
Thank you. You accept.
I do.
There you go.
Yay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Guess you're it, man. All right, secretary, we need a secretary for the group.
Who's the secretary now? Oh, Michelle was. She picked a good one to miss to go to
Can
her
we,
kids'.
can we vote Michelle back in?
Yeah, we can.
And nominate Michelle.
All right, I'll nominate Michelle to continue as the secretary.
She can't accept.
She can't. She's not here to accept.
All right, then I'll nominate Amy May to be secretary.
No, no, no. We are okay with Michelle being
But
secretary.
she can't be here to take, accept the nomination.
Oh, but we can just vote her in, can't we?
The secretary is really not,
Can we just vote her in?
Can we defer this to the next meeting? The secretary. Make a motion to defer the secretary election to the
she's
next
gonna
plan
find out
commission
we
meeting.
deferred just so we can get her to do it, right?
Yep. I'll tell her tomorrow when I see her at work.
And she has to be here on time every
So
meeting.
motion is to defer. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you. All right, we'll get her next time. Well, let's hope she shows up next time.
You have to vote on vice president
I
still.
thought we did.
I thought we did.
We did? Oh, close the nomination.
We need to close the nominations. All in favor of the vice president candidate?
Aye.
Aye.
Thought we already did this. The recording secretary says we already did it.
We were. We're watching the clock.
All right. Discussion on mixed-use district. Staff will present a proposed concept for a new zoning district intended to accommodate mixed-use development. The district would allow for integration of residential and commercial uses within the same area, supporting the more flexible and land use patterns and promoting walkable, multifunction development. This item is up for discussion purposes only, no formal action we're taking. Pete, before we start, we already have homes and businesses on Douglas Avenue. Are we saying we don't have a zoning district that includes all those businesses that are currently there?
There was the old Racine County Code allowed, if you had a business with a residential component, it was acceptable, but it was only owner occupied space. And you could only have one unit. So like the example of what we have for our Douglas one that we just, the conditional use,
Yeah.
you could have a one unit above a commercial unit, but you couldn't like do what they have in Mount Pleasant or Oak Creek where you have multifamily over commercial. We don't have anything that allows that. And like for the example, because I know more about Oak Creek than Mount Pleasant, you have 4-story apartments, it's clearly not 50% or less residential.
Okay.
So by creating this mixed-use district, we would allow the ability for a future developer to propose a mixed use in what I think we've seen more commonly created in neighboring communities where you have a first floor commercial with multifamily above. And we don't have that. That's a gap in our zoning code. We haven't really had a demand for that. There was talk about it several years ago when I first started. Fran, you and I talked about, doing a mixed use over at the Kmart structure. It never really got beyond concept, but I think the idea of a mixed use over in that Kmart area, it has gotten more, I won't say traction, but attraction instead, that people are like, that could be a good location for it.
Yeah.
And right now, we don't have any regulations in place. So what we drafted and have before the Plan Commission is a mixed zoning district that would provide guidance to if anybody was interested in doing a mixed use in Caledonia, that these are the standards that we have. Because right now we don't. So it's tough to go tell somebody, hey, yeah, we love a mixed use idea. Well, what are the rules? We don't have any yet. So we're trying to be proactive and have parameters in place. So that way, if and when someone wants to come and redevelop Kmart, and if they want to propose a mixed use there, that we would have the guidelines in place. And so that's why this is here for continued discussion, because last month we introduced the idea. I know Commissioner Hintz had a suggestion about scaling, that maybe that could be incorporated into it depending on the size of parcels. So we didn't get any feedback between last month and this month, but if Natalia, and if you want to add any changes or ideas that were evaluated, we can definitely discuss that. But we're still looking for feedback. We would like to get some direction from the Plan Commission tonight if we should go forward with the formal process of a text amendment. That wouldn't happen until likely July, where we'd do the public hearing and notice it up and go through that particular process. And the soonest the village board would see it would be at the end, at their second meeting in August, if things were to progress in that timeline. There's no rush on it, but we still want to have the opportunity for public engagement as well as discussion regarding this proposed.
So that's what I was going to ask. There is a public hearing in between all the approvals, correct?
Correct. We're here just for discussion purposes, so that way, if there's anything you see in the rules and regulations that you're like, whoa, Pete, what were you thinking? Or, I noticed you didn't include something. We're looking just for some reaction to what's being proposed here, so that way we can have a comprehensive proposal for the Plan Commission and the public hearing. So we're not trying to wordsmith ordinance at the same night as the public hearing.
Thank you. Natalia, do you have anything you want to add?
Maybe just a question, because during our last session, Jeff was talking about a potential scaling for the district, and I was taking a look at some potential solutions and ways to address that. Do you have any communities that might have done something similar in mind?
Yeah, let me email you a list of what I'm thinking, but just in general, I mean, I think it's a question for this commission too. How many units are we comfortable with, like, per acre? You could do it that way, like, based on the comp plan. I mean, we have high, medium, and, low residential. I'd just pick, whatever is adjacent to Douglas. If it's most likely high, just figure out what that is per acre and then try to, scale it with a number in that regard. The city of Racine's code is fairly old. It's the same vintage as the county one that a lot of Caledonia's is, premised on. It's formatted in a similar way. There's is kind of based on like bedroom size and stuff like that, which I think, not bedroom size, but like number of bedrooms per unit, which I think is silly in practice. It doesn't really do a lot, where you can have people fooling around with density that are like, oh, I'm just going to do a bunch of efficiency apartments because I can make 10 apartments instead of three bedrooms. It's like, well, that's not really the intent of it. But I think you'd want to arrive at something where like a site like Kmart doesn't just have like 3 apartments on it. And then, I don't know what the right number is. That's more of a question for all of us. But that site utility wise could probably support a couple hundred would be my guess. Whether or not people feel comfortable with that there, I can't say. I think I'd be fine with it, but I'm just one vote. But I think you'd want to get it so it's at least like 10 or 20 an acre. So every time somebody wants to, come in and do something and make a true mixed use site, they're not having to go for like a planned development or like a variance or some sort of other exception to be able to get a density that, pencils out on paper for their math to work. I think in terms of developing like our commercial corridors along Douglas Avenue, maybe 31 would be a decent spot for this zone too, depending upon sewerage demand and things of that nature and infrastructure capacity. We'd want to get it high enough that so a mixed use site can actually work and, have people at it that would do that. There's a lot of properties I think that are along like the busier corridors that, nobody would find suitable for like a single unit dwelling, because if they did, that would have been built by now. So I think getting the density high enough so we can stop, not that we don't like doing public hearings, but we get a lot of people that come in here and say, I don't want this to be built here, I hate it. And then, there's no real advice given to this commission about what they would like to see at those properties, just that whatever that idea is, I don't want it. So I think there's not a lot of people signing up to want to live along Douglas Avenue. And when we get, mixed unit or multi-unit buildings, like, further into like residential areas, people don't like it as much. So if we can really make the Douglas Avenue corridor and some of these higher trafficked areas where maybe people don't want to live in a detached unit dwelling at a density that makes a lot of sense, the businesses can get a customer base that's high enough that makes sense that more businesses will come, but at the same time also maybe preserves some of the more suburban feel of the neighborhoods off of Douglas the further you get from it. So that'd be my 2 cents, but I'll try to find a couple that makes sense. But I think we just want to have a scale that's big enough that, like, if somebody had an acre of property, I think they should be able to have 10 or 20 units on it, somewhere in there, and it can go up from there based on the acreage potentially.
Thank you, Jeff.
I have one question. On, say, the second floor of these units, would it be realistic to open it up to like professional offices, if so desired, instead of all residential, like an attorney's office or, something like that on the second floor level?
Yes, so as it's proposed, this amendment doesn't really specify in which floor you can have some type of use. So if an applicant, for example, is proposing multiple family dwellings on the second floor and above and first floor commercial, they are allowed to do that, and all of the possible variations to that. And professional offices are allowed, restaurants, financial institutions, churches, and so on.
Okay, but I mean on like second floor for professional offices.
Yeah,
Where you wouldn't put a restaurant on second floor, obviously.
yeah, no, but they
know,
could potentially
But,
do that. Yeah.
if someone so desired to, it would be allowed in something like that. Okay.
Nancy?
Looking at your map that's up there, are these the only two areas you're currently identifying that might be potentials on Douglas Avenue here? Even though we don't have the zoning? Okay. I have some thoughts pretty similar to Jeff's when you talk about the numbers involved, because we've heard numbers of upwards of 300 tossed around in general if you talk about a Kmart project. And I think 300 is too high, because that's going to be a multi-story building. Because that brings up the question of, do we have height restrictions that we want to put in here? And they're in there? Awesome.
Yes, we do have a height restriction, a maximum height of 60 feet.
Which would be how many floors?
Around
5.
5.
So we're talking 5-story.
We have anything 5-story currently?
No, we don't have anything. No, we don't, because that was one of the whole things when you get back over to the fire engines about why we never needed a ladder truck, because we had nothing over 2 stories in the village. So that also comes into play with it.
So
The
we
other
need a different
piece-
fire truck.
Hmm?
We do 5 stories, we'll need a new fire truck?
No, we actually went out and bought the ladder truck
one.
anyway.
Yeah,
Well,
So,
yeah, the
so
fire
we're actually
department,
prepared.
What about the big ass?
the fire department, we had a 5-story proposed building at Water's Edge at one point, and the fire department said that they have the,
They have the
they have the equipment to provide fire service protection to a 5-story building.
Yeah, we have
Just
it.
one? What if we have 5? And
Well, then
now
we
2
gotta
of
buy
them
more
are on
fire trucks.
Well, you have mutual aid.
Yeah.
And so if we have 5 fires in Caledonia, the other fire departments
We don't have 5 a year.
are gonna be coming to our rescue, because when you look at emergency services, if we have a catastrophe and there's
show up.
multiple fires, multiple, we're gonna need mutual aid, and that's why we have that for the area in Racine County.
But to go back to the apartments, and I understand when we're talking about mixed use, and some of this feels a little bit like when we added data center into one of our other ones, like what's really behind a lot of this. However, at the same time, and it doesn't apply to what we're looking at tonight, but it is applicable that we're not talking or in general about how many apartment units we're actually talking about bringing into this village within the next 2 to 3 years, because we have one project sitting in front of us that has multiple units. You have a potential project here that could bring up to 300 units, and there's another one sitting out there. So I think in terms of it's beyond the zoning, and I recognize that we also have to have that discussion about exactly how much overall density of different projects and this type of living arrangements are we bringing into the village, and is it the right thing to do? Again, I know it's not about the zoning.
Any other comments?
Would this be primarily in the commercial districts, not bleeding into the suburban area?
Right now, playing the scenario out that we have a mixed-use district in our code, the only place that zoning district would be consistent with our land use plan is on the map that's on the screen in front of you now, which is the intersection of 6 Mile and 32, as well as 4 Mile and Douglas. Those are the only 2 places that have mixed use, residential, commercial, mixed use, land use designation.
No,
So
6 Mile and 32. I mean, you
But
do have that big empty lot there,
It-
but
it-
most of that's all like single-family residential,
it's the
other
Dave,
than a
it's-
bar and a
North
restaurant.
side,
Well,
north side of the street.
it's the Dave Braun property, where the old brass rail was.
Mhm.
It's that, you got a church, so the church is gonna fill in a spot there. And then just to the west, over where it's already developed into commercial, but where they have the auto body place,
Mhm.
into that area. That area has been identified in the land use plan back in 2009, when it was originally adopted.
Okay.
And so those land use categories were adopted back when the original comprehensive plan was done, as well as the area on Douglas. And in fact, I believe Kmart site is not part of the mixed land use section. I think it's on the west side of
So
32.
we
is
could
it
move
not?
the 6 Mile and 32 one over to Kmart.
Go say that again?
So we could move the 6 Mile and 32 one over to the Kmart, where it would make a lot more sense, because we've got big buildings over there already.
Well, you don't have to like eliminate one area to put it in another.
Okay.
But as part of, you're all familiar with, we are updating our comprehensive plan. And one of the components of the comprehensive plan is the land use chapter. And so we'll be taking a look to see are these areas still suitable? Are they applicable? And if not, should we be looking at expanding to the east side where the shopping center is? That whole site right to the south of Parkview? Should that be included as part of the mixed use moving over the next 20 years? And that'll be discussion with the Plan Commission down the road when we start bringing you the updates to the comprehensive plan.
Any other comments? Like direction?
Final comment addressing May's comment. So the statement of intent of the mixed-use district, as it is drafted right now, is that the district is intended to promote a diversity of land uses to support walkable mixed-use development patterns along business corridors and nodes. So it will be restricted to those business corridors and nodes served by municipal water and sewer. So not even the entirety of our business corridors can be potentially served by this mixed-use district.
So it's all gonna be 32 and east, because you don't have it west of 32.
So as you can see here in our land use map, we have the Douglas Avenue corridor, which is a recognized business corridor.
Mm-hmm.
And this one could potentially have properties within the mixed-use district. And the other business corridor that we have here in the village potentially is I-94. So this
What about
corridor is
Franksville?
also. Franksville is up for discussion, so it's up to this group if we would expand the definition that we have here in our statement of intent to include areas such as Franksville and other parts of the village in which the mixed-use district would be desirable.
I think Franksville could use some help over there, especially right on Northwestern. We've got a lot of, empty or shuttered buildings and people complaining about not having a grocery store.
Yeah, that's true.
But we have a liquor store.
Couple.
And
Always.
not to interrupt the plan commission, but the discussion about where future land uses should be will be at a later date when we start discussing the comp plan. Tonight is the concept of creating a mixed-use zoning district. So where the zoning district can be, that's not really for discussion tonight. I think it is a worthwhile discussion when we start talking about updating our comprehensive plan. But tonight, we're just focusing on filling what staff has perceived as a gap in our zoning code that doesn't have a mixed-use district. And so we put parameters down for, building height for the principal building. If you have accessory buildings, we have a limited in height. When you look at the other proposals that are within that zoning code, we also talk about, the minimum parking that's required. We talk about, let me bring up here, I'm trying to go from memory. I closed it out.
Landscaping design,
Yes.
screening, lighting.
And so those are what we want to have for discussion tonight, because we don't know what a future developer will ever propose, but we want to be able to tell them that these are the caps, these are what our expectations are. If Caledonia is not the best suited for you, because it's, what you want to do is higher density than we're going to allow, you can move along. We're not, this is what we want, our standards are for this mixed-use development. And so that's why we're presenting this here tonight for continued conversation. And ultimately, if there's some discussion, if you want to continue to have the discussion moving at the next meeting, we can definitely do that. If you want us to flesh out any examples or ways that we can better demonstrate what it is that we're trying to put together for potential future use.
I do have one other question that can maybe answers. Under B, basic regulations, you have down there that section 6-6-X, whatever it says, it's too small for my eyes. A minimum of 10% of the required open space shall be designated as usable open space. So are we saying, because we don't currently have this zoning category, we have no open space requirements to go with it? So we're opting for only 10% based on what's in here?
Not only 10%. So the minimum open space that we are requiring
Correct, you're right,
is
minimum.
20%.
Mhm.
And then of these 20%, we are requiring that 10% are used as usable open space. And the definition was placed in the end. So usable open space as a type of open space that can actually be used by residents, like recreational space.
Yeah, I'm looking at that. But,
But it's also parking lot as usable open space.
right, it says shall, no, but that shall exclude
It
parking.
excludes your
Okay,
parking lot
exclude.
landscaping.
Excludes parking and interior. But we're still saying that we're talking to 10 and 20% of this proposed living arrangement, if you will have any kind of open space for the residents. That's my point on a percentage, but.
So with that, I will turn my microphone back on. I will make the motion to direct staff to continue pursuing revisions to the mixed-use zoning district draft for the future, well, wish my eyes were better, for the future review and consideration. Second, please.
Second.
Any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's carried. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much.